Okay, hello everybody. So in today's video I'm going to be reviewing a fragrance that has been called the greatest sports fragrance of all time. But before I do that, I want to ask you for your opinions for one of my next videos. I'm going to be doing a video on the best beast mode scents, but I really want your help and I want you to tell me which fragrances you find give you the best performance, and let me know in the comments below. So when I say beast mode, we're talking obviously about ones that last a long time and project well, but really in some ways it's more of about the feeling they give you. That feeling, well, when you wear them, maybe they make you feel something like these guys. Today we're going to be looking at a fragrance that has, as I say, been referred to by some people as the greatest sports fragrance of all time. This one is a discontinued fragrance and it is Sport de Paco Rabanne. Okay, so this one was released in 1986 by the House of Paco Rabanne. The perfumier was Rosendo Mateo. So first of all, let's check out the notes on this fragrance. The top notes in this one: lemon, mandarin, bergamot, petitgrain, green complex and artemisia. In the mid, jasmine, juniper, tarragon, rose, orris and carnation. And the base notes are oak moss, fir, cedar, patchouli, vetiver, musk and leather. A couple of fragrances that this one reminds me of that I forgot to mention when I was filming are Acqua di Parma's Colonia Club and Polo Ralph Lauren, the green one, the original one. I think there's a bit of mint in this fragrance and maybe a bit of a lime note as well, other people have mentioned. So let's get into the review now. Okay, so those are the notes. How does it smell? I've got the dry down on my left arm here, but let's spray a fresh one on my right arm now. Okay, so this one opens up with a little bit of citrus, but it's not really what you call a citrus fragrance. There's a little bit of freshness from the mandarin and the lemon, and it's very pleasant indeed. It's an old fragrance. My bottle, I don't know how old it is because I do not actually know when this one was discontinued, but it's got to have a lot of age on it because I don't think this fragrance has been around for years and years. It was discontinued a long time ago, so I do wonder if maybe some of the top notes have gone a little bit because it doesn't seem like a very strong citrus opening, but there is some nice citrus in there. But straight away, what you really get is that aromatic fougere vibe. So if you like things like Rive Gauche Pour Homme or the original Paco Rabanne Pour Homme, even Drakkar Noir, there's stuff about this one that's very reminiscent of those 80s powerhouse style fragrances, Rive Gauche being a 2003 release, but that pays homage to those type of fragrances. So if you like things like those, you might like this one. We've got that herbalness, that kind of aromatic fougere herbalness of the lavender, and I sense that it's one of those fragrances with oak moss in it. I don't exactly know what the note of oak moss individually smells like, but I know a lot of fragrances that have oak moss in them, and I recognise a certain similarity with this. And the other note that I think is a really significant player in this one is the patchouli, which was a very popular fragrance note from the mid-70s onwards, right up into the 80s, and still is so today. So the fragrance is a woody, herbal, a little bit spicy and somewhat citrusy one. It's nothing like the sports fragrances that we're used to today. Recently I said some very nice things about Bulgari Aqua Amara. That's not a sports fragrance in terms of the name, but it's one that I would categorise in that same kind of category with other fresh, aquatic or sport scents. And that's a very easy to like, fresh, citrusy scent. This is nothing like that. This is a much more acquired taste. And if your experience of perfumes has been through ones released from, let's say, 2000 onwards, this one's really going to take a bit of getting used to. So I think this is one for people who appreciate old school scents, and it's not going to be one of your fresh citrus aquatics. What does it have going for it then? Why should we be interested in it? Well, what it does have going for it is tremendous complexity. There's a whole ton of notes in there. Petitgrain, we've got jasmine, juniper, rose, orris. Now, I'm not claiming for 1 minute that I can identify all these notes, but what I do get is that the fragrance really evolves on my body from smelling one way when I first spray it to smelling quite different a couple of hours later. There's a lot of very pleasant woodiness in this one, and I think things like patchouli and oak moss are fixatives. They make fragrances last longer, and I get really good longevity out of this. Projection, I'm just not sure. I haven't asked the rest of the world how much of me they're getting, but I do get some decent wafts of it on the few times that I've worn it. So longevity on this fragrance seems to be rather good, and as I say, it begins to sit close to the skin after 3 or 4 hours or so, but when you dig in there you really get quite a strongly present scent. I've done the old test of wearing it in bed and then waking up the next day, and there was a really interesting scent on my arms when I woke up the next day after wearing it in bed. So this fragrance, it's not one that you're going to use as a signature scent. Apart from anything else, it's quite rare. I picked it up on eBay. We had 50ml left out of a 100ml bottle, and there was no box or anything. The sprayer doesn't even work that well. So the bottle's been around the block a bit. It's actually a tester demonstration, not for sale, so we don't know the storage conditions. You can pick this one up in 5ml miniature testers for around about £7 or £8 in the UK on eBay, so that might be a way to try it out. Obviously it's not dirt cheap, you're only getting 5ml, but if you're really interested, that's how I actually tried it. I got the Eau de Sport from Paco Rabanne, which I believe was the new name they gave to the same fragrance. It smelled exactly the same in my 5ml miniature, and then I decided it was good enough, interesting enough to invest in a full bottle. So this is one for fragrance aficionados. I don't own many discontinued ones, but this one is one I'm really happy to have in my collection. I love the old school kind of design of the bottle. It takes us back to the 80s, and somehow it smells a bit like the 1980s. We don't get a proper lid on this one, so that's a little bit of a disadvantage. There's always the danger that you might squirt by accident, and unfortunately that's been the story of my life. So yeah, watch out if you're sort of chucking it in your sports bag. You might want to be a little bit careful that it's not going to leak or anything. So thinking back to the 80s, it was a great time for sport. There were some real great characters out there, and things seemed a little bit more rough and ready and raw when you compare them to the ultra slick sports that we get today, where everything is really set up to be perfect for TV. Things seemed a little bit more natural and real back then in the 1980s. And 1986, of course, the year this one was released, we had the World Cup finals over in Mexico, which were won by Argentina, almost single-handedly by Diego Maradona. The rest of the team were just okay, but he was incredible, and he scored that unbelievable goal against England.
Ahí lo tiene Maradona, lo marcan dos, pisa la pelota Maradona, arranca por la derecha el genio del fútbol mundial, y es el tercero a tocar para Borruchaga, siempre Maradona, genio, genio, genio,
where he went round about 4 or 5 players and slammed it in the back of the net. Before that, he did cheat with a handball for the first goal in that game.
Valdano.
And I remember being very upset as a 9-year-old boy when that happened. I felt we'd been robbed, but Maradona actually described that one. He said that he described himself as the little Argentinian beggar boy picking the back pocket of the English gentleman, and I can kind of respect that now that I've grown up a little bit. I kind of see where he was coming from, and I think he does admit he did handball that, but you've got to respect the cheekiness of that man, not to mention his utter brilliance. Also in In cycling in the Tour de France, Greg LeMond became the first American to win the Tour de France in that year.
No American has ever won a stage in the mountains before in the Tour de France. And when the seconds go on the screen as he crosses the line, we'll see whether he's done enough to take the overall lead away again.
So I always look back on the mid-80s as a time that I have a slightly romantic image of, and that's why this fragrance, for me, even though I might not wear it loads of times, I probably wouldn't wear it on a date or a night out, I don't think it would be popular with too many girls, especially if they're used to modern crowd-pleasing type scents. This one, I think it kind of makes me realise when I smell this scent that some of the popular modern scents that we're used to wearing and enjoying today are a little bit dumbed down. You know, this was a mainstream, high street available kind of scent, and it really has a lot of complexity in it, and it's not something that's super easy to like. You've got to sort of take your time to, it's a bit of an acquired taste, you know. It's a bit like drinking your first few beers when you're a young man, and they don't taste that nice at first. And this fragrance is almost a bit like there's a bit of animalisticness in there. There's the oak moss, there's the patchouli. There are very manly smells in there that take a bit of getting used to, but they're worth investing the time in for someone like me who's interested in fragrances. So that's what I like about it. So how do we describe this one overall? Well, we describe it as a quite powerful, woody, citrusy, spicy, herbal scent, and a true aromatic fougere that is a lot less sporty than any of today's sports fragrances, and indeed a lot more masculine and heavy than many fragrances that are not described as sport fragrances at all. If you compare this to Dior Sauvage or something like that, Bleu de Chanel, big players in today's market, things like 1 Million with the bubblegum note, that kind of thing, I mean, they seem absolutely trivial when compared to a real manly powerhouse like this. But it does have that citrus stuff. It's a pleasant scent, and I think for the right person, if you're interested in fragrances, you like seeking out old things, and if you just want to enjoy experiencing something a bit different in scent, then Sport de Paco Rabanne is really worth checking out. I like sport, and I like having a fragrance with the word sport in it, but I don't find too many on the shelves today that I really like the smell of. But this one I do like. I love football, I love watching football, I used to like playing it, I like going for a run, and I used to be a little bit of a boxer actually. In fact, I've given out and taken many a good licking in the ring. Those days are behind me now, but I still like to watch many different sports on TV, and when I'm doing so, when I am relaxing at home, being an armchair sports fan, I love to spray a couple of spritzes of Paco Rabanne Sport and remember the 1980s, and also remember the powerhouse fragrances of that era, of which this is very much one. Let me know if there are any unsung fragrances from the 80s, sports fragrances or otherwise, that you enjoy that we don't talk about much. Paco Rabanne Sport, if you're brave, check it out, you might just like it. Please don't blind buy it though, and don't blame me if you don't like it.